Hello, everyone. This is our third session that is from this year's Parking Day Tooltesting cycle. And the goal of today is that we will share with each other plans and ideas about what we want to achieve during Parking Day. And we'll give feedback to each other. So hopefully we can help each other in the process and then empower ourselves in our experiments on local scale. So without further ado, I would like to, and again, okay, another thing to let you know is that we have Monica and Jim here from Pontiac, Detroit, who are experts on Parking Day. They have quite some experience with initiatives related to Parking Day, so they will have basically they're the dedicated expert to give feedback, but of course everybody else will be welcome to also join in the discussion, because anyway we're a small group, so that's the advantage of this. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to give the word one by one to the speakers that already notified that they want to present an idea. So first, Kera, do you want to start?
Yes, thank you. So first, introduce myself. My name is Kera. I am from BGB Active. Heard probably if you joined the last presentation. Do you hear me well? Sorry, I think I have some internet connectivity issues.
A bit, but now it's okay.
Okay, thanks. There was a storm here in Plovdiv, so I guess this was the problem. But yeah, as I was telling, I am from BGB Active's team, who is coordinating the European project Parking Day for Fitness, and we are also the national coordinator for Bulgaria. And I have been coordinating the events that are going to be happening for Parking Day and for Parking Day for Fitness in Bulgaria. So I'm just gonna share screen. Okay, just a quick presentation. So I'll just dive in what we've planned so far for the events in Bulgaria. Our first event happening on the 16th of September is going to be what we call a gamified flagship event from our Parking Day for Fitness toolkit. We're going to have 3 main parking spots that are going to be turned into different Parking Day for Fitness installations. And what we decided to, the concept around them, that we wrapped them around, was the 3 important needs for a healthy and welcoming city for people, and some of the needs that are especially for Plovdiv. So these are a clean city and a litter-free city and a sustainable one. And so one of our locations is gonna underline that by organizing recycling games and having a big installation that we call Bottle Eater, and it's for the collection of plastic bottles. Then another P spot is going to emphasize the need of more greenery and green spaces in cities, and this is going to be a yoga retreat space that is going to also have a lot of greenery. They're going to organize yoga lessons throughout the whole day there. And finally, of course, what also the Parking Day for Fitness emphasizes, the fitness and sport and physical activity part. And that's, we are going to do that by installing a table tennis table for a ping pong table near in the last location that is located near a school, and I think near actually 2 schools, and I think this is going to attract also a lot of children and students from nearby. Also, the 3 locations are all situated around the city center, so we think we're going to get a lot of visibility. Also, the 16th is already a school day in Bulgaria, so that's why the location near the schools. And in the evening, what we call the gamified flagship event, we're gonna connect the 3 locations in the evening by organizing a city quiz quest that is with our partners from an organization that a business organization that usually does escape rooms. But they also organize such kind of activities in the open, so in the city, with people going around and solving challenges, and by solving challenges and different mysteries and riddles, they find the next location, and this way they go around the city. So we are planning on gathering 40 teams, so that's going to be in total like 250 people. That are gonna start between the game is gonna start around 5:30, 6:30 in the evening, so that people who are working during the day or at school can also join. And they're gonna go around the center. Also, they're gonna go through the 3 main locations, like play table tennis at the ping pong table, play interact with the yoga retreat place, solve some riddles related to recycling, but also some other locations around the city, so that they can move not only on the parking locations, but going around them as well. We already have our Facebook event and teams who have signed up, and this is going to happen, as I said, on the 16th of September. And then this is like the start of the activities for Bulgaria. And then we have several major events in other cities. On the next day, on the Saturday, we are partnering with a Sofia organization called Sofia Playgrounds, a safe play that in Bulgarian, it's also safe playgrounds. So this is an organization that does work concerning public space when it comes to children's safety and the safety of playgrounds. So they have come up with an idea for the parking day event, to make it also an open streets event, and have activities such as trainings on traffic safety. And as you can see on the photo, this is from BGB Active's initiatives in the past, but also this organization there does similar things. They're going to also have a recycling and like sustainability element in their activities. They're also organizing recycled games, as they call them. Like this is also a photo on the right from previous initiatives of the organizations. And then on the open street, they're going to have football, baseball demonstrations, folk dances, aikido, and many other activities. And then another big event under the Parking Day for Fitness, also an open street event, is going to happen in Burgas on the 22nd, the World Car Free Day, where they're going to close the street you can see here on the map, which is a major road artery. Maybe I could call it like that. They're gonna organize, like, again, skates and scooter demos, chalk rallies, drone Quidditch, which I first heard of now and sounds pretty cool, and dance lessons. They're also gonna have like 17 locations that are actually going to be like separate, like and parking spots on their own. Despite the whole street being closed, they're gonna still emphasize the parking spots. And they're partnering there with the local shops and restaurants, so that they have more participants, and the street is really vibrant and inviting for the others. And then at the end, we also put out open invitation for smaller organizations who can also join. We presented the manual and then said we can offer this funding and these resources for the organization of the event. Would you like to join? And we were advertising this open invitation for a while, and we got some responses. For example, in Ruse, they're gonna have Ruse, which is a city here in the northeast of Bulgaria. they're gonna have a bicycle there that is going to be installed in put in the parking space of a local supermarket, a local shop. So, and people could ride the bike and then charge their phone in this way. In Smolan, they decided to organize a petanque game on one of the parking spaces, and in Teteven they decided to do some kangu jumping. So we have lots of ideas. Also, Varna are planning on a bigger event with several parking spots with lots of different activities. So yeah, I don't want to take too much of the time. I think I already got over 5 minutes, but I wanted to finish off with some challenges that we met, and I think are maybe come from the Bulgarian context, but maybe I'm wrong, and maybe we could have done better in this way. The one of the major challenges that we met is that our open invitation that we did, we saw that it's it gets a lot of when advertising it, we saw the reach is very good. We were trying to like reworking the way we explain the concept to people so that it sounds accessible. And I don't know, I think we had a challenge in explaining to the idea to smaller sports clubs. I think we were trying to reach sports clubs and businesses, but we mostly got engagement from NGOs and organizations that already knew something about, for example, placemaking and such concepts, but we couldn't get that much engagement from other sport organizations that do more like fitness activities. And then we had troubles. I was personally communicating with the Plovdiv municipality when it comes to getting permits for our parking spaces, but it took quite a lot of time, mostly because your callings, like I was applying for permits and then waiting for quite some time. Then I started calling, and one person says it's okay, but then the other one says I'm not responsible for that, and I'm saying, who is responsible for that issue then? Who should I call? They refer me to someone else, and then the other person says no, but I'm not responsible, and they pass around the responsibility. So this was kind of took a long time for me to understand, is it okay if we have our events there, even though before we've done events like that. And we heard a lot even in Burgas as well, although there the event is being actually organized by the local, we partnered with the municipality. We got a lot of responses like, okay, it's very fun activities, but why should we organize them in the parking spaces and in smaller neighborhoods when we can organize them in the biggest square in the center of the city? So yeah, we had some difficulties there. So yeah, that's it. I would love some input from you guys, and thanks.
Thank you, Kera. Thank you for sharing your plans and activities that you're planning. Very impressive, like magnitudes. I think I would like to actually directly, because Monica and Jim, I would like to give you the word first, but I think because I know some of your projects, I think it's very good to reflect on how you went into neighborhoods and working with people that they don't have an idea what parking day is, what placemaking is, and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, that's we started, I guess, kind of small, and really was to use parking day as a messaging vehicle for getting a deeper understanding. And honestly, we built off of Jim's. He's got about 2 decades working with communities around technology in the schools. And so there's just some social capital, I guess, that we built on there. But honestly, with Kera, you know, the same kind of municipality resistance or lack of understanding. We run into that a lot in our context as well. But
you shall overcome.
Yeah, you shall overcome. You've got quite a movement there already. Just really impressive. It's so cool what you're doing.
Are you going to be live on the 22nd? Kara?
Whether we're going to be live in
Like if you're going to have live
You
feeds.
have a live.
Yeah.
if
As
we're
we were-
gonna screen it live on our like social media, is this what you mean?
Well, what you're doing on that day, we're going to be doing something live on the 16th, and we could replicate something if we could meet up on the 22nd. And we'll
Yeah,
do
sounds
something
great.
and we'll have community talk to each other about what the commonality of those kinds of efforts are, and more importantly, what we can learn from each other.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thanks a
uh,
lot.
I think these possibilities, of course, of live feeds, it's always welcomed. I think it's this is where some things become real. Although, of course, it could be difficult through cultures and languages, but I think it's still nice to see each other's kind of initiatives flowing at the moment. Helen, I don't know if you're here, but because if you have some feedback for that, if you would like to share, because you are a person with quite some experience in also like engaging with local communities and involving them in placemaking issues.
Hi, Tola and everybody. I'm just here to harvest ideas today. So
Okay.
I'm happy to see the different examples and great to take some inspiration. And you know, these ideas, sometimes they crawl around in your mind for years before they happen. So it's always good new input. And I really like the things you've shown us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. What I want to reflect on what you just present, Kera, as well, I really like the element that you integrated there with connecting the dots, kind of, to some kind of interactive activity through, I don't know how much, like the people that are developing, I don't know how much information you have about that as well, the people that are developing is that they're based on escape rooms, what kind of interactions they will involve with the urban space in itself. But I think it's pretty exciting way also to get feedback kind of from whoever is participating into this around for the environment around them. So what they like, what they would like to improve, what spaces they find like not that secure. Like, I think it's quite interesting in that. I don't know if you're doing something along this line.
Well, for the event, for example, in Sofia, they're having an open like a meeting with the district mayor, where they're also gonna discuss like the needs of the neighborhood and what people would like to happen there. So really a placemaking element. For Plovdiv, we haven't planned such a discussion, but it's a good idea to add this like feedback element. And also for the games, for the game itself, it's really cool. We actually played it in one of our meetings with the partners for the project in June. So it's like you're in like a online system that you log into, and they have the riddles already in there, and once you get to a certain location, you get a new riddle to get to the new location, and so on and so forth. So we decided to add the element of like a challenge and a riddle connected to the parking spaces that we're gonna have activities on.
Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing, Kera. Very nice to have you here. Okay, so we can move on towards Yilmaz now. Yilmaz, please unmute yourself and tell us more about what are you planning to do during Packing Day.
Yeah, hi, absolutely. So I'm going to try to share my screen here first. See if we can manage. There we go. That should work. Okay. So my name is Yilmaz. I am with XsentrikArts. We're a nonprofit organization based out of Vienna. We're actually an arts incubator, an exchange network. And we do a lot of projects on interdisciplinary practices. We are highly active in researching and telling the stories of our built environments. And our strength is in connecting and collaborating. So what we decided to do is we decided to take the parking day concept and applying it to the local reality of Vienna. We wanted to collaborate with various organizations, local sports clubs, to create synergy and to tap into their grassroots networks. So basically that's what we did. And as a result of this, we created a series of events in various neighborhoods and districts throughout the city. And the events that we've created offer a diversity and a wide range of activities. And they make use of the local reality, as I said, and adapted to it. It makes sense this way for us. So we started with Peace Spot events. Even though Parking Day has a specific date, we decided that it makes sense to start. So the first event is in Meidling. It's the 12th district of Vienna. It's a very vibrant, multicultural district. It has an open air market. And we basically reserved 3 spots around the market. And we worked with a nonprofit called Wir. And Wir in German means us, we. And basically, they created an obstacle course for kids, and the kids ran around the obstacle course. So that was the first activity that we did, and we created videos of these. It's on the XsentrikArts webpage. I can forward it to you. We created some nice videos of these as well. Just this Sunday, we have another event with Lagensleben. Lagensleben is also another sports organization, a local sports organization that offers quite affordable training, and it promotes health and health literacy in Vienna. So we're really looking forward to this. It's our 20th year, and as part of that, we're going to be a part of it, and we'll also be reserving 3 spots, and we'll be offering different activities, various activities in these parking spots. And then once again, we're coming back to the 12th district where we had the first event, Meidlinger Mark, September 9th and 10th. Here we're working with a host of different organizations because we'll be partnering with, I think, like 5, 6 of them. And we have events throughout the day over 2 days. So it's a big, big undertaking for us. And it's part of the Meidling's Environment Festival, let's call it. We're incorporating ourselves into that kind of. Another thing that we're doing is through other stuff that we've done, we've worked with an organization called Cycle Cinema Club here in Vienna. And what they do is they bring kind of like the idea that you were talking about with the stationary bikes and charging phones. They bring stationary bikes, and they need to be constantly pedaled to power the projector, which is projecting films. So we're having film nights. We've curated a series of films, and most of these films are, of course, on our built environment, our urban environment, how communities have shaped them, etc. And there's some on placemaking as well. And I also have 2 of my. I'm a filmmaker, so I also have 2 of my films on similar issues that we'll be screening. So, and we're really looking forward to this. It's going to be interesting. We'll see if people really get involved in cycle as they're watching the film. Well, somebody's got to do it because we need energy output. And then we have another event in another district with them as well, again in the evening. This time it's in the 10th district, which is a very interesting district. It's really multicultural, and we'll see how it goes there. And then we're shutting down a street at Bourgeoisplatz. This is in the 15th district of Vienna, and we're working together with an organization called Space and Place. And on the street, we're going to be offering a host of activities, including boxing, table tennis, aikido. We even have like a parking day boxing bag now with the logo on it and stuff that we've created. So it's really cool. And what's not included here is afterwards, we want to continue on with this concept. So in October, we have 2 events, parking spot events organized already. In Vienna, it's kind of interesting. There's a department dedicated to public space. and you put it in an application, and as long as you do it within the right time frame, 3 or 4 weeks beforehand, you can reserve parking spots for various activities. So we want to continue building on this, and throughout the year we want to have activities. My interest personally comes into this during the COVID time. We were locked indoors, and the gyms were shut down. And I realized the importance of open areas in physical activity. You know, I went to the calisthenics parks here and I took up calisthenics and stuff. So I want to be promoting this kind of such activities here as well as a way of living, and just to show that, you know, you don't need to be spending a whole lot of time, a whole lot of money. You can spend as much time as you want, a whole lot of money in gaining physical fitness levels, or even in just being active and moving around. So yeah, that is what we're doing here in Vienna. And hopefully, like I said, we want to continue throughout the year until next year as well. So we're viewing it more as, this year, we're viewing it as kind of like getting our feet into the grassroots organizations and getting to know them and collaborating with them and making good, developing good partnerships, and then building upon that for next year even more as well. Yeah, so that's a summary basically of what we've been up to.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. Monica, Jim, what is your take on this?
It's just amazing. It's what is the street closure? What's the need for public space? And you know, are there any like long-term kind of actions around that street closure that you're doing, or any, like, would it be about, is it an essential roadway, or is it something that could become more space in the future?
Yeah, we hope so. It's definitely, it's a high traffic area. So there's a huge significance in shutting down the street. It's also in a transition area. So initially, when we're talking about parking day, I wanted to do events on the Gürtel here. It's the beltway around Vienna that connects all of Vienna, but we weren't able to do that. But hopefully next year, I want to shut down the beltway. But,
Wow.
but we'll start with the street.
Are you running for mayor?
No. I'm not allowed. I'm not an Austrian citizen, so I can't run.
Well, you're having more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a district
Start
council.
from the bottom up.
What
That's just amazing.
what I really like about what you just showed us and how it started as well is like I really like that's something that we promote through this cycle as well, that we have to embrace simplicity in the beginning as well. We cannot start from the craziest idea. We have to start somewhere. And I think what you just show in the beginning, you know, just like creating some play course for kids, like just occupying some space in this kind of alternative way, it is a great way to like introduce yourself and kind of invade the car space that we kind of give to cities like way too much, I believe. So I think that's great. I think I would really encourage you also in what you're doing. I think you have this in mind, that also this simplicity has to be still there, because I think Kera, what are you saying earlier as well? I mean, sometimes it feels like so hard to get into something. Oh, this is too complicated. I don't know what to do, how to start. And I think it's really like the messages of simplicity has to be there. So like having something very simple, having cards, showing around, I think that's great. I think, do you have some other tools that you're using like in that kind of way? Or
I mean, what we do is since the beginning as XsentrikArts, what we've been doing is collaboration is our key. We don't claim to know anything, but we claim to establish partnerships that are beneficial. And through this kind of collaborative effort, we've realized that we can get much more done when you get people involved, when you work with people. But you have to listen, and listening is the key here. You have to listen and you have to understand the strengths and what people have to offer, and then kind of create an atmosphere where we can develop something together. So that's kind of the tool that we're using. It comes from a filmmaking perspective, like my background, because to make a movie, you really have to work in groups of people. And you have to kind of understand, you know, the set and how people operate, and you have to work with people and try to get things out of people. So kind of it's an adaptation of that. and also placemaking as well. I mean, my wife is also an architect, and they did a project in Floridsdorf with Nabulag Shagar as well. I think they were involved in it as well, the research project here in Vienna. They were one of the partners, and we gained some tools, the placemaking tools from those as well, that we were able to, they developed, was also quite beneficial for us. And it's on the Placemaking Europe site.
Nice.
And you got kids involved, so we actually make you good on the promise that kids are our future, which so often we say, but aren't. That's just awesome. Absolutely. I'm a background in filmmaking as well, so isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
we want to work with you.
Oh, awesome. Happy to hear. Happy to hear. I mean, the kids are also, I have 2 small kids, so it helps me too to do stuff for kids, to just let them run around.
that's where it's really at. Those are the they're the real placemakers.
Yeah, exactly.
I also that's funny that you mentioned you work with Helene's group, Nabulag Shagar, and Helene shared with us the first tool test about Oslo's street.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have a full-blown car-free city, and she can speak more to that, but a street that they were doing that had more local participation, and that it was a pilot program, and they were evaluating that. Maybe she can share that when she gets it. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that.
We keep bringing you in, Helen, but if you don't, if it's up to you.
See, I'm having the camera off because it's like this. You have this focus today on like a parking day and fitness, and I'm having one of those eating ice cream out of the tub days. So it's like, oh, do I have to go on camera again? And my tongue is numb from eating the ice cream. What can I say? It's Friday afternoon here. It's been a very long week. Will any of you be in Pontevedra for Placemaking Week? Hands up.
I'm not there, unfortunately. So
I can't believe this.
But I have personal excuse, to be honest. Yeah.
But I think maybe because there's been so many questions that have come up about this initiative about sort of semi-permanent parking day, like making street side parks, etc. That maybe we can try to organize a session with Placemaking Europe, Toddar, and invite some of the people that have been directly involved in it, so that we can answer some of the questions that have come up that I don't know the answer to, about the funding, about the regulation, about the budgets, about the processes, about the sort of the kind of dialogues and discussions they've had with local businesses, and also after October, there will be evaluating the whole thing. So what was like now, like from the media coverage, it looks like 70-80% are super happy. The negative ones the haters are always going to hate. So there's always going to be some vocal negative ones, but maybe really 95% are super happy. Also, it needs mentioning that it's taking place in a neighborhood where I think car ownership is only 14%. So it has the lowest car ownership of the whole of the city. So it's not really affecting locals.
Wow.
But yeah, I think there's enough food for a full-on session, and by someone who's closer to the concept than me. But I think if it can inspire people to do to think like a park, not just like rolling out sort of astroturf and plastic surroundings, but actually creating some urban nature. I think it's good for people and places in the city in all sorts of ways. So
it's evolution.
Sorry, what was that? The comment from?
It's evolution.
Yeah. I think it's the like 360 turnaround that we've had to do, right?
Right.
Going from being a part of nature to completely stepping as far away from nature as we could, and then realizing that we're part of it. You can't stay, like you cannot separate the two. So
No.
yeah, but I'm sidetracking your conversation, Toddar, so I'll give it back to you.
We'd like a live feed into that.
Yeah, we were talking with you, Todor, but maybe we can add to our conversation around live streaming. Maybe there's some way to do it at Pontevedra.
Well, or just having records of this, it's still useful to share, you know, like to see not only pictures, but how things, I mean, unfold in like in full motion. We speak about filmmakers here. I think there is some difference when you see also, of course, the whole effect. I think it's a beneficial, but I agree with you, Helen. I think it's a big topic. I think it's great to have more discussion about this in Pontevedra as well, but whoever is going, I think I can connect you also. I don't know if you have interest in this, but Daniel Radaj, who is like vice mayor in Budapest, he's also doing a lot of things along that line. I think we all have to do, and that's why Parking Day is so great, because it hits spot on about activity, mobility, nature, social engagement. It has so much layers and makes a great initiative.
I'm sharing an invitation to a webinar that I'm talking at on the 15th of September. It's for a completely different project that has to do with edible cities. But I think basically we're saying that urban agriculture should learn from placemaking, because without the social programming, a lot of urban agriculture fails. So I'll be talking about a lot of, basically it's a warm up to the Pontevedra Placemaking Week. So feel free to join that. That is online. I have no idea how that works out with like time-wise and time zones for the US participants, but I've shared the link so you can find it.
Early morning coffee for
join
East
us.
Coast. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, that's it. I mean, let's continue. We have 2 more ideas to share at least. So maybe I would like first to give the word to Monica and Jim to tell us more about what activities you're planning now for this year's Parking Day.
Okay. I'll share the screen here. Okay, I added your webinar into the Mural, Colleen, and I tried to grab a couple of slides as well from the previous sessions, but if you can, if everyone has the link to this mural, I'll put it in the chat as well.
I just did.
And so this year, I'll get going with the presentation and just introducing the mural because it's all available here if anyone wants to comment on it. And so we've used Parking Day for this is our 6th year as a messaging vehicle, coming from the automotive capital of the world here in Detroit and Pontiac, which is 30 miles south. But it was also a heavy automotive, it's a post-industrial city today. And this is our poster for this year. And so right now, Ford Motor Company, if you can see the structure here, the Michigan Central Station, that was on the demolition list. And there were a number of community members. We have a big problem with demolition in this part of the world. And a number of people were, emotionally attached to it to save it. And Ford Motor Company stepped up and they're putting $1 billion and betting on their future in the more digital, electric, and autonomous world. And they're developing this campus And this is historical Michigan Avenue. This is actually a photo design from the city of Detroit. And this is Roosevelt Park, and they're building that into a campus. This is the book depository. They're creating a car-free street on Berner. Well, Berner is being redesigned, and then 15th is going to be completely car-free. And so, yeah. What we did earlier with Parking Day Pontiac is that we were advocating that this site become something like that because it was on the demolition list as well. So we ran 6 parking days to communicate a different sort of vision, bottom up, in our little downtown area, which is completely vacant and has very little community participation from decades of just very bad behavior. And so we're going to be this year, the Metropolis Bikes is a site that is on Michigan Avenue. It's like right here where our little placemaking ribbon is. We're going to be broadcasting from there and talking just with people on the street, and we'll have a little parking space and but set it up as like a communications center to engage with people on the street and also with anyone who's going live on this group. Jim, you want to?
Well, the GIF here that you're seeing is a effort on behalf of board to demonstrate how the transformation is going to take place. And basically it's modeled on the innovation district work of the Brookings Institution, if you're familiar with that kind of work. The things that I've seen this morning are actually examples of what placemaking's implementation reflects on Brookings Institution's innovation district. Isn't that interesting that work is imbued in this concept? And Ford, typically they would be making a case for what they know. And what they've said is, we don't know. We don't know what the answer to this conundrum is, which is the transformation from a traditional combustion engine world to a more EV or electronic driven world. And so what they're using this innovation district for is a way to attract talent to help figure that out. And so they built this instructional element into their transformation that invites entrepreneurs and innovators and imaginators and individuals with particular expertise in things like electronics and digital methodologies and so forth, that then will congregate and use freely these institutional elements in terms of the buildings and the technology that they're going to make available to bring about that change. I think that's really an incredible statement on behalf of a large corporation to say, we don't know what it is, but we're going to build this edifice in an effort to help figure it out. And they're looking to make that discovery on the ground floor, not the top floor of these installations. So we're really excited about that from a standpoint of what the imagination and creativity could be visited within the context of their execution. And then more importantly, it's the automotive capital of the world. So when you start talking about, we don't want to own cars, you might find yourself in a conflict in the automotive capital of the world. But we've had enough conversations with some of the thought leaders to know that they recognize that cars are going to be marginalized to a certain degree, and yet they're going to become more autonomous and more productive in the way in which they're deployed. And you match that with some mass transit that they're imagining. And there's a video here that makes a case for what that looks like. And that makes it an exciting opportunity to be able to kind of have feet in both worlds, from a placemaking point of view, from a productivity point of view, and then more from the standpoint of what is taking place in the future And this little short 30 or 40-second video is a good example of what is taking place in the future. What you see is a lot of mass transit pushing through the automotive sector, and the automotive sector giving way to the efficiency of mass transit, in that people are still coming to cities. Isn't it interesting that we just had a 30 or 40% transition in people coming to cities from work from home and learn from home? So there's all kinds of interesting dynamics that are being deployed and engaged in, and we're just looking forward to playing a marginal role in how the community and the citizens in that community have and look at bringing value to that proposition. And I think that's the most important thing, is that value.
Okay, thank you. But so during parking day, you're going to have a installation that people can drop in and have their feedback or take on this concept, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
There's Metropolis bikes have allowed us to, Metropolis cycles actually, which are selling bikes, are allowing us to collaborate with them on Michigan Avenue and make this case. I mean, when we visited with them and we said, well, we're kind of looking at marginalizing cars, he said, I'm in, because he's making bikes for human traffic. And so we're going to work from their installation there, which is only a couple of blocks away from our studio. So I think that's going to provide an interesting point of reference from someone who's actually bet some money on this transition that's taking place, and is appealing to something a little bit more important than, let's say, the traditional transportation proposition.
Okay, I think what is very interesting in your regards, and I think when I show you my idea in just in a bit, I think it will be, it's not intentional, it has quite some different narrative though. I think is how people will respond in terms of, I mean, it is amazing possibility, right? It's a technological development and this and that, but how much they relate to that in their everyday basis and how much this will improve their life. I think it's very interesting, like, and you as experienced people to see how I would advise you to track this down. It's like how connected people are to this in general, because I think it's interesting topic. Because
this is where we'll be Metropolis cycles. I kind of skipped past that, so this is what the future road is supposed to be, but we'll be here at Parking Day talking about that and figuring out how to get more community engagement, so it's not just a corporate governmental thing, it's got bottom-up energy. So
the other interesting thing that's going on is the riverfront. Detroit has been voted the most progressive riverfront in the country for the last 2 years. I don't know how you make it 2 years in a row, but they did. And the Kresge Foundation and others have built an infrastructure that is just incredible that goes along the riverfront. And when you talk about community engagement, we got to get our neighborhoods who are already addressing the riverfront and participating in the riverfront, but that infrastructure isn't necessarily being supported in such a fashion. So what we've been doing is working with the folks at the Riverfront organization to bring community there and then purposefully do placemaking.
I think that's another interesting topic. Yeah, from urban planning perspective, like how you can transfer this access that you have the access like of the riverfront, since it's so celebrated. What elements of this is obviously the nature wise is one thing, but what other elements you can turn like kind of use in this new axis that is more road, but then of course it has a lot of other elements. Okay, I think I just, because we are close to the session, I just want to show you my idea as well. I think it will be a little bit of a interesting contrast with what you presented in a way, because I think, can I just confirm you see the mural, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do during this parking day is that actually I take this kind of narrative that we have, because very often where I'm based in Stavanger, Norway, it's also it's surprisingly, maybe I will show you as well, like, or maybe that I will not show that much, but it's surprisingly car dependent city, despite it has good infrastructure for bicycle, it has good infrastructure for walking and this and that. For some things we can debate though, but the point is that nowadays I think we all got hooked up, and here it's not a exclusion, into all of these new mobility options, like whether it will be like shared e-scooters, whether autonomous vehicles, autonomous buses, and people are super hooked up about this in terms of resolving the mobility issue. But I also, and maybe that's probably the academic side of me, working in university doing PhD, is like that I also tend to think in reverse to that, because I feel like sometimes we get hooked up with this and we forget like what we're dealing with sustainable urban mobility, and what is the actual question for mobility issues. I feel like so a lot of this, they have their advantages, a lot of these vehicles, but in the end of the day, we have examples in which, for example, these e-scooters, they're super poorly maintained. Also, although they are very usable, but then they treat citizens as users only. So then nobody has a responsibility of them. So they create mess. Maybe municipalities start to adapt to that, but in general, that's a big issue. And then also the vehicles themselves, they're not taken care of. We have the same issues with the shared e-bikes, and we have a lot of these issues with shared mobilities here. And while we're thinking about hooking up about and making a lot of investments in all of these high-tech new mobility options, I think sometimes we forget about something very easy to adjust and not something that's related to technology. So they made this new axis here, and then the cycling lane. I know that in some places this could be like a very good, still there is a cycling lane, but for a place that you already have all right conditions for cycling, and you want to bring even more people to cycle, not only the usual ones, I think solutions like this don't make much sense, because people are still kind of uncomfortable cycling along the cars. And what usually you have seen is that they cycle on the pavement. So all I'm saying is that sometimes we forget about this. So my idea is very simple. I'm going more into artistic provocation. I occupy a parking space. I have two locations next in my neighborhood. Either here, where is my private parking space that I don't use, or take even more invasive action and go into the public space for a day, and then install this structure, which will be very simple, from just some pallets, and then they cover them with, we'll cover it with this red satin cloth, and I'll take my old bike. I have a new bike, but I have to take my old bike because that's what my point is. In the end of the day, we forget that these bicycles, at least in Europe, like the old school, privately owned bicycle, still, in my opinion, is the king of sustainable urban mobility, because it is door to door. It's super effective. You take care of it because you have to. So you have responsibility for that, and it promotes healthy lifestyle, and is the opening for all of other incentivizing more space for walking as well. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to in the next 2 weeks, well, probably I'll do it tomorrow actually, but I'll clean it up and I'll spray it with gold, and I'll put it on this platform. So I'll keep it for a day, and I will have it like I would like to celebrate this and remind to people that also not all questions are answered by technology, but also we have some solutions that we are just sometimes forgetting because they're not sexy enough and so on. And I think in this case, the old school bicycle that we have in our sheds, it's something that we should not forget, that it gives a lot of advantages. And it's also not battery wise. We don't know what's going to happen with all of these batteries nowadays. What will happen in the future when we have overload of battery garbage. So I think this kind of, yeah, that's my provocation that I'll basically do during the parking day. Yeah, sorry. I think it's not really. It was not intentional. I think it's a funny contrast that we have here. But I think it's just. I think they're both fine. I think it's just like people have to be reminded that we have to work both ways in both directions. I think technology is good to be embraced, but also I think we should be reminded. That's my take. That we are trying to solve mobility issues for the sake of mobility, not for the sake of technology.
Great point.
Great
Yeah.
point. I put a link to the bicycle song by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't know if you've heard it before. Like, you have to blare that song. In case I forgot to mention, the bicycle is a good invention.
But yeah, I think if I don't know if somebody wants to reflect further on any of the last things that were said, or like Monica's, I don't know, Kera, Yilmaz, I want to give you the word as well.
I just wanted to say that I love the idea. It's like, it sounds very simple, but it's actually like a great way, and like visually it stands out. So I think it's a great way to engage people and to like use it as a like a thing to reflect on.
Totally.
Thanks.
Yeah, I could totally see it as an arts installation. And also kind of integrating it into placemaking or parking day events would also be interesting, just to have that there as a piece, you know.
I actually also brainstormed the idea that, okay, that this could be also like representing a car as well. Like if you look it from the, to make it the size of a car and so on, so it's on the top of the car. But yeah.
This is 30 Ford.
Sorry?
Jim said it's like a 32 Ford.
Right.
Yeah, but okay, I think we can stop here. In general, I'm getting super pumped up actually about my own thing going on and about everybody's else activities. So I'll be really happy to catch up with you guys during or after the experiments were done, so we can share some experiences and how things went, like what did go as we expected, what did go like completely in a completely different way. I think that's also part of this sessions, that we also can speak about this and the learning process behind. So I mean, I'm grateful that you joined us and shared your ideas. I wish you good luck for unfolding them, and I would be happy to see more how you go.
And one more thing, please don't feel shy to put ideas and your plans and everything in the mural. We'll be using it, sharing it widely.
Yes, thank you for this reminder, Monica, and thank you for joining, Yilmaz and Kera. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Everybody, thanks for coming.